where we talk about all things leadership. I'm Dr. Christine Fusilier. Today we're going to talk about change leadership. Now, I know many people get change leadership confused with change management, and those are two very different things. Under change management, there are tools and structures that are put in place to keep change efforts in control. You're controlling either how much you're changing or the communication or of the change and where you're changing things at. Whereas when we talk about change leadership, it's a bigger picture. It's actually creating forces to have transformational change. And John P. Carter has a really good book out, and it's called Leading Change. And it gives some very key tips for how a leader can lead through change. And one of those are first to establish a sense of urgency. So you establish like here's what we need to do, here's why, and here's the urgency behind it. And you provide them with vision and strategies that are going to help them, the team, develop the change. Also communicating that change. If through my years in corporate America and other industries, if I've learned nothing about change, it's the communication can make or break your change. And by communication, it's telling the people why. Why is the change necessary? And it will minimize as much disruption and distraction if a leadership is upfront about why the change needs to happen. So the communication is a huge part of it. And then he talks about empowering employees to change. How are you going to empower your employees to make the change? And that's by sometimes giving out tasks, getting their feedback, getting their input, making sure that you get their buy-in. And then you generate short-term wins. So when you are successful in as you're going through the path of change, you celebrate that. And I believe that's true for anything that you do. Celebrate the small wins. Don't just wait until the end of a project or a big event to celebrate. Celebrate the small wins. It's very important that people do that, and especially that leaders identify that when that needs to be done, because it continues to motivate the people who are actually making the change happen. Also, you are able to consolidate gains and produce more change. So once you realize the change has been put in place, what was the benefit for it? Did it give you what you expected? Did it yield the results that you expected? So then this also should be a springboard for additional change. It could be changing a process. It could be changing some procedures, but making sure that there are some gains to the change helps the momentum of the motivation for the people who are making the change. And then talk about the new changes to the culture. How has it impacted the culture of the organization? And have a debrief. We made a change. Here's what we yielded from the change. Here's some of our best practices that we've learned from the change. And here are some opportunity areas that we can do better. So change is inevitable. It's going to happen. It's important that we understand why we're having the change. In today's world, there's a lot of change going on from corporate level to our political stage. So we, as leaders, I think it's important to watch how leaders manage that change. Watch how they navigate through that change. And then you can learn from that. If you are a leader in the midst of major change, think about, like I said, John P. Carter. That's Kotter. He has a great book called Leading Change, and the tips are awesome, and they're not too intense. They're very applicable. And then just see the progression and the improvements that you're making in leading change, and also monitor the gains that you have, because that sets you up for the next change that either you want to happen or sometimes in some cases has to happen. So I hope this was helpful. Again, our vision and mission here is for us to make leadership great again. We'll talk to you next time.